The Mass of the Red Death. This is a story is written by Edgar Allan Poe, a well-known and distinguished writer for his style of writing, which is Gothic. One of his most famous tales is the Death of the Red Mask.
The story begins by placing us in a time where many have died from a disease called Red Death, whose symptoms in short are unbearable pain, secret through the pores and every axe of the body, which already guarantees death itself. At this time, ruled by monarchs, there was a king whose name was King Prospero, who invited 1,000 people to his castle hidden in his empire, where they could isolate themselves and not die from the disease.
In this very particular castle, there are 7 rooms distinguishable by the color of each one: other blue, purple, green, yellow, white, violet, and finally black. Each room and its windows had the same colors. However, as for later, it had red windows and large black wonder clock. It had get on every word there. Aura that was created due to the combination of the doorbells, the color black and red did not exciting. They gets to either there.
King Prospero supplied everything necessary for his quest. At the end of the 5th month in the castle, the king organized a masquerade full of eccentricity. At midnight, the clock struck its tune. However, before all was silent and the dancers resumed their dancing, a group of people looked in the first room blue. A dancer masked man was present had never been seen. This dancer marked a feeling of horror in everyone present. He was tall and slender, curved from head to toe by an outlook, with the stain of blood of them, and the mask he possessed was that of a dead man's face, covered in blood.
King Prospero found this present. He felt fear and then, full of anger, asked him to identify himself and remove his mask, to which there was no response and no action. Then, without saying a word, the masked man began to walk slowly one by one the rooms of the castle until he reached the black room. The king Prospero, without thinking, ran into the room, carrying a dagger ready to be used. When he was a few feet away from the stranger, he turned and silently stared into the Prospero eyes. Suddenly there was a howl of pain, and the dagger lay on the ground, and a minute later Prospero fell.
The gates happened to the enclosure. The strongest of the men attacked the stranger who was living next to the black clock. He rushed forward, and to his surprise and terror of all, being that dirty and straining clock, there was no fiery. They immediately knew that it was the Red Death, and one by one they did until everything that lay alive, and the castle was dead. Darkness and Red Death, reigning forever.
King Prospero. This is the king of this land in which all the pandemic took place, and who was the owner of the castle and house of the party. He was a Prospero king as his name says, strong and brave enough to face death itself and sad.
All the main senses unfold around him. The invitation to the castle and the idea of slaughtering himself from the outside world are made by him. The idea of performing a masquerade. The confrontation before the stranger that happens in the castle. And finally, the frightful death of him, we infected by the red. Death. Red Death is disease that Kelly have the popular of the kingdom of Prospero, and then with him and this gets this disease can be represented by the color red, Christmas red, blood red, due to the bleeding it causes in each victim.
At the beginning of the story, it does not have an anthropomorphic figure, a virus as such. In the development of the story, its present materializes, describing it with a tall and slender body with a mask that resembles a lifeless human face spotted by blood, covered by an old cloak and, like its face, spotted. And in the end, it turns to its intangible existence but let us know that its present and death wish is still there.
This character is present throughout the story, being responsible for killing the population, being the reason why Prospero and the West isolate themselves. Represented by the colors red and black, this combination is seen in the last hall of the castle. The presence of the stranger at the masquerade, the cause of the death for Hal, the West, and Prospero.